The phenomena of black-eyed kids is an urban legend of evil spawns portraying themselves as young, innocent kids with eyes void of life. Apparent sightings have been reported throughout the years, and witnesses to these kids claim that they dress strange, have odd speech patterns and the infamous black eyes. They would beg or ask to be let into houses, emphasizing on the fact that they need permission to be let in. Here's 3 stories of alleged encounters. Posted by Reddit user Smokescreensway, incident from 1918, told by my grandfather. I had just recently found out about the black-eyed kids phenomena and was reminded of this story told to me by my grandfather of an incident that took place sometime in late 1918 near Sandoval, Illinois. He told me it had been hot the past summer and the heat lingered for months, so he had all the windows and both doors open on his house, where he was sitting on the porch reading a book because it was too stuffy to be inside. He went in to make a snack and get a drink when he heard a knock. This struck him as odd because most people would just call out that knew him, so he figured it was a vagrant looking for a meal or labor. He lived by the train tracks, so hobos would come from time to time and I guess it was normal. So he goes to the hall and 2 kids are standing in the entranceway. A boy and a girl calling out that they needed a place to rest since it was a long way home. He told them that they were welcome to sit on the porch, but that it was too hot inside to be comfortable. He asked if they came from the rails and they just disregarded his question and asked to be let in again. From what he said, the kids made him feel peculiar because for one, they wouldn't look at him directly and 2, they were too clean. My grandfather said that riding the trains was dirty, you got grease on you, and coal dust and sometimes you get cuts on your hands or knees. He lost his leg doing the very thing which kept him out of the war, but these kids, from what he said, were pristine like they were going to Sunday school. They weren't sweating, and their hair was neat, and it struck him as odd, because if they had walked in open fields in the middle of the heat they would be unkempt or disheveled. He asked again if they would like to sit on the porch, and the girl just repeatedly asked if they could come inside. She kept asking, may we, over and over again until my grandfather slammed his hand down and said, damn you both, no. The girl stopped speaking, and he said they both just stood quiet until the girl looked at him with eyes black like coal and once more politely asked if they could come in. My grandfather just walked to the kitchen and sat down not knowing what to do. He said he felt like someone punched him in the stomach. He said he sat there until his dog came rushing in the house shaking like a leaf. So at the end he never told anyone, chalking it up to heat exhaustion. But he said it troubled him for years. My question is, how far back do stories of black-eyed kids go? And from what I've read, they can sometimes hypnotize people. Could they do that with a dog to keep it from barking a warning? Posted by Reddit user Onion, I recalled a story that stuck out to me which one of my favorite teachers told me. My teacher's daughter used to attend some college in St. Louis and used to live within walking distance in an apartment on the other side of Forest Park. The daughter was walking home one fall evening around 8 p.m. through the park, which I should say right now is really lit up with street sidewalk lights. Anyways, she was walking home from school on the sidewalk by herself and was not really afraid because she took self-defense classes and had mace in her bag. About halfway through the park, she saw a group of about 10 kids underneath a pavilion which was off the sidewalk about 10 steps. She noticed them all sitting at the picnic tables and not moving at all. She was walking until she was parallel to the pavilion and was struck by an unsettling feeling. She kept walking a bit further away and turned her head and noticed that a few of the kids were following her. She stopped in her tracks and asked what they wanted because they were all just sitting in the pavilion not 1 minute ago. The kids kept walking up to her and asked if she could help them out with some food money, to which she replied, sorry, no. Here is where my teacher kind of made me feel uneasy. She said her daughter looked into one of the kids' eyes and that they were completely void of life. All she saw was the blackest black where the eyes should be and felt complete fear. All she could recall after that was everything going completely dark for a split second and then snapping out of it. She was still standing, and all of the kids were walking away about 100 meters in a single line. So that's the story I was told. I know I did a horrible job of relaying it back, and it might not be the most extravagant one, but it certainly spooked me. I asked if she was robbed, but my teacher said that her purse and iPhone were still on her, and she had no bruises or cuts the next day. Which did not comfort me in any way. By Reddit user MRACE44, post by my honest co-worker. Let me start by setting the stage for this encounter that happened a few years back. It was Christmas night and I work at a decent-size factory in New England as a security guard for the night shift. The factory was built in 1900 and is located at the end of a residential suburban street which was common for the time. Being at Christmas night, all other employees and guards but myself were home for the holidays. I sat in the security office, which is detached from the main building next to Gate 1. Around 2 a.m. I look up from the computer monitor to see 3 girls on the younger side, maybe 12 or 13 about 20 yards away, standing at the telephone pole staring directly at me. It's not uncommon to see children in the area as it's a neighborhood. But at 2 a.m. on Christmas night, come on. I tried to ignore it and continued to look down at the computer monitor until only about 20 seconds later, I jumped at the sound of tapping on the locked office door. And you guessed it, it was the girls. A confused and nervous look painted my face as the girls just started giggling. I asked if I could help them. They just stood there with an evil grin on their pale faces. "Let us in," they said as their what looked to be black eyes stared right through me. At this point I was speechless, my heart just sank at realizing how creepy this situation was. I told them to go away with a stern voice and got up to shut the lights. No sooner did I sit back down they were right back where they had started, by the telephone pole looking at me with emotionless faces, and just like that they were gone. I watched the cameras for hours after, watching to see if they showed up again. As you could imagine I didn't leave the guardhouse until morning. They might have only been young girls, but something about them did not seem right.